Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Switch Online Game Club, the show where we play through the games available on Nintendo's various NSO apps completely at random. I'm your host, Derrick, and in this episode, I'm joined by Katelyn to my left, YouTuber and writer at Gaming Trend. How you doing, Katelyn?
I'm good. I'm good. How are
Glad to
you
hear.
doing?
Glad to have you on. And joining them is Vivian Flynn, game developer and fellow writer at Gaming Trend. How you doing, Vivian?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you both here. And as you're both likely aware, there are now over 200 games across the NSO, and while some are widely known like Super Mario Bros. And Zelda, there are some odd picks that could be considered hidden gems. We honestly don't know. So what we do is enter all those games into a randomizer, pick one, and then give our initial thoughts. And this week, the Wheel of Games has chosen WinBack, Covert Operations for the Nintendo 64. And I'm going to start with you, Katelyn, because I distinctly remember you giving basically a hell yeah when you saw that we got this game. So what is your history with WinBack?
Okay, so I've only played it twice, and it was when it launched. And they were both multiplayer sessions with friends. So this game is kind of known for almost sort of inventing the cover system of third-person shooters that you would see in like Gears of War and stuff like that, or Metal Gear. Uh, but the multiplayer is the most fun part of it all because it's just insanity. It was not made for the N64. Character like models and stuff are like just two JPEGs spliced together to create a leg. It's a very jank but very fun like third person shooter on N64. I'm excited for this.
That's amazing. Do you have any experience with it, Vivian?
I think I booted it up once when it was added to NSO, and then never again. But
Oops.
I'll be happy if it's good. I'll be happy if it's bad. I'm just
Yeah.
interested to see what it's
we
like.
we were kind of looking at it. It's getting like sevens, eights, right?
Yeah.
So
Which is what you'd
it should be
expect.
pretty all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this is an unknown game to me. I remember commercials, at print ads back in the day for this game, and it looked fine enough, but I didn't own an N64 growing up, and it didn't seem like that revolutionary or interesting for me to like go out of my way to play it at any point. But I do remember that this was part of that first batch of the expansion pass, and us at GVG played a bunch of the different games, including WinBack. I think at your insistence, Caitlin, and you
Yes.
insisted that we played one of the levels by rolling it like it was a race. We just did the dodge roll
Yes.
along the
Yes.
outskirts.
Yeah,
And
roller
it's
races.
It's like it's dumb, but it was also kind of fun. Like I
Yeah.
don't understand it. I don't have no idea what the actual single player is like, and I'll be honest, that's probably what I'm going to be focusing on most with this because, yeah, you can kind of invent your own fun for the multiplayer. It seems.
I mean, that was sort of the entire era, right? With like all the rare games and stuff and their multiplayer. You sort of made your own fun with friends because the multiplayer modes itself were kind of bare bones, like basic deathmatch and whatnot. But if you can get, especially four people, rolling around like entire maps of WinBack, it gets so fun because you're all just cracking jokes and trying to, you know, overcome the very jank dated controls, you know? And it's a lot of fun.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
Especially if you can play with the NSO N64 controller. I bought one of those. I absolutely recommend it for WinBack. It's so
I do not have one of those. So this should be interesting. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and they mentioned that the player cannot move while shooting. So instead, the control stick is used to aim whenever you're trying to shoot. But every gun
Sounds
does have a
like
laser
Resident
sight.
Evil 4.
So that should be interesting, I guess. I also see that we can unlock characters for the multiplayer. You can unlock all the bosses and some of the other characters throughout the story as you complete the main game. So
I'm
got
gonna
more people to
unlock
roll around
Oddjob.
with. It's one of those. Oh my god! So I'm looking through this, and this might not mean much to either of you, but This is a stealth sequel, not really, to Scat on the NES because it features.
What?
Yeah, this.
What?
I believe the main character of this, according to the story synopsis on Wikipedia, the Secretary of Defense contacts the Special Covert Action Team, SCAT, with their orders. Enter the complex and retake it. So you, as Jean-Luc Cougar, what the hell, is part of the team.
That's American as fuck, though.
So yes, you are Jean-Luc Cougar as part of the SCAT.
Man. Okay, so first of all, the acronym SCAT is definitely a little too common in video games of this era, because I think, didn't Night Trap also have SCAT? And it was
it did.
Oh man, why that name? It's such a bad acronym. Can't they come up with something else? But is this actually like a stealth sequel, or is it just they share that name?
It just shares that. Because this is done by, believe it or not, Omega Force, the same people behind Dynasty Warriors.
Oh man, what a leap in genre.
Do you play third person shooters much, Vivian?
Yeah, I love like the Uncharted series, and I've played a bunch of others like the latest Gears of War. I've only played that one, but I've been meaning to go back and play the rest.
I was about to say, don't go into this expecting anything
like
Uncharted.
I have no expectations.
Okay. Worth noting real quick, I saw there was a PS2 version, and it looks pretty good. Like, it looks like the same game, but, with better models and stuff like that. Maybe that's worth trying out.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
According to game rankings, it has a lower score, so I think people expected more by the time.
Well, this was also... Wait, when did this version come out?
The N64 version came out in 99. PS2 was not until 2001.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going up against 2001 standards, yeah, you messed up, because that's Metal Gear Solid 2, and that's one of the best games. So.
Yeah, you're in trouble at that point. Oh gosh.
I'm excited to try this though.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm looking through, and I try not to go too spoilerish for myself to just get an idea, because it's a third person shooter with cover mechanics and an interesting your own fun to be had multiplayer. But there are multiple endings. I'm not sure how you get the multiple endings, but there they are.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see all of them.
So, no spoilers, but to get the endings, it depends how long your playthrough is. So it's sort of Metroid style. Like, the faster you go, the better your ending.
Ah, I see. I'm just going to play normally and see what happens.
So, yeah, I'll go with whatever ending I get.
Yep, that'll be something. I don't actually. How long is this game? I'm going to guess probably 5 to 6 hours. Be my guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking 5 max, right?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
That sounds about right.
I don't know if they're including multiplayer in this, but it's saying 12 and a half hours.
What the fuck? That's a Zelda game. What is what?
Yeah, just the main story is 12 and a half hours, main plus extra 14, completion is 18 and a half. What the heck?
Wow.
Oh, man,
that's hefty
I don't know.
For an N64 game.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, maybe to get all the endings?
Oh, that could be it, that alpha line.
Maybe.
That very much could be it. I don't know what that's the thing with how long to beat. You'd never know exactly what they mean by each one. I think it's sort of a loose interpretation. But maybe heftier than we think. Or we'll be dying a lot. Who knows? But yeah.
I wonder if it'll have any FMV cutscenes or anything, because RE2 could squeeze those onto the cartridge. I doubt WinBack could, but
I hope so. I hope we get some. Please give Jean-Luc a bad French accent.
Oh please! Oh
yes.
Please! Make it awful. Make it the worst dub of that era.
Honestly, this is the type of game that gets bonus points for being as cheesy as possible.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for this. This is what is it? A third-person well, technically third-person shooter I played a little bit recently. Have you heard of Blue Stinger? It was a 98 horror game on the Dreamcast.
I have heard of it. I've not played it, but I have heard of it.
Oh, that game is, no spoilers, that game is absolutely wild. But if it has voice acting like that game did, or any sort of like cheesy dialogue like that, I'm so ready for this.
I hope so.
I so hope so. According to Down Alpha Line, last thing before we finish off here, regarding WinBack on NSO, the camera's jankier in this version because it only moves in one direction, though that could have been patched out. I guess we'll find out, but that'd be something. By one direction, I mean I'm assuming you mean you can only spin it like right, and so you have to do a full 360 to get it over to the left. I don't know if that's the case, but
I mean
I assumed it was like no diagonals.
That also could be it.
Oh, like only cardinals? I could see that.
Yeah.
I think Banjo did that.
I don't know, but I guess we'll find out soon, unless there's any other preconceptions before we dive into this game.
All I beg for is that we get one round of roller races.
Yes, please.
We'll have to try to find some time to do that. So yeah,
For sure.
Let's bring it on. Let's see what WinBack has to offer as we take a week to play it, and we'll be right back for all of you. So until then.
Wherever you are. I'm going to fry the skin right off your bones. What's this? Another fly stuck in my trap? WinBack.
And we're back after a week of playing WinBack Covert Operations for the Nintendo 64. I have thoughts, but let's start with Vivian first. What did you think of after your time with WinBack?
Well, I started off really enjoying it. Like, it's slow and methodical, but that's really interesting for a cover shooter. It really emphasizes having to stay in cover and wanting to pop out just for one or two shots occasionally. Mm-hmm. And then the game keeps going. And it keeps throwing more and more enemies at you. And deciding on the best ways to screw you over at any individual moment. And it's too much.
It's so much.
What about you, Katelyn? What did you think?
I'm in the same boat. I'm someone that, like, you know, when I start a game, I'll open up my options menu, kind of tweak things a little bit, maybe volume and settings and all that, and then I'll do the tutorial or whatever if that's an option. The tutorial very much helped because holy crap, these controls would not have made any sense to me otherwise. But there was an issue with the controls. If you changed them before going into the tutorial, it only gives you the default prompts. Oh. So you have to, like, retranslate it in your head what the actual controls are. It's so bad.
I don't typically mess with the controls. I usually leave them to default, but I did go to the tutorial first because, like, it felt like a good idea. Especially because, you know, I don't have an N64 controller for the Switch. So I'm playing off of the standard Switch controller. And I thought overall it worked as control wise. It did its job. And I will say this game has an excellent first impression because, as Vivian said, methodical, slow. It just sort of eases you into how it all works, but it's still, like, impressive. Like, I was looking at things like, oh, there's a good ending and a bad ending depending on how far you get within this certain amount of time. So I'm going to try to keep moving fast, but, you know, I felt like I was making a good clip and figuring things out. And I still stand by this statement, even though I've not played a ton of it on Switch. But I think this game plays better than GoldenEye. Now, I know that that is tantamount to heresy, but I think this game works out better as a shooter than GoldenEye simply because of that slow, methodical nature. It works better for the controls. When I tried to play GoldenEye, and granted, I played maybe 30 minutes of it because I just fell off the controls that badly from playing it on a Switch controller. It was like I couldn't aim, I couldn't do anything. So when I was playing this, I'm like, oh, I can shoot guys. Oh, I'm not dying immediately. This is wonderful. That's where the opinion comes from. It might change whenever GoldenEye comes up on the wheel, but that was the first impression. But as Vivian says, it keeps going, and there's just guys after guys after guys after guys, and it's just so much from so many angles with very, very little variance. And I'll put out my biggest pet peeve with this game right off the bat. At least early on, it does fix itself by the second half. But it also, like, by the second half, it's just doing that, wave after wave of my own men type thing. Holy crap, the first 15 missions or so are so damn confusing because you're going through the same area over, under, around, just the same locations again and again and again. With now there's more enemies. Now we have lasers. Now there's boxes. It is... Whew.
It's almost like
worse.
a Metroidvania in a way, right? It's
kind of, but they limit you where you can go, so you can't just go anywhere. Yes. They very much direct you.
Yes, it's like a Metroidvania where it just like it takes chunks of levels at a time and makes that an arena now. Like it's, and then they'll like remix it, like you were saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because those first two levels didn't have really anything like that. Those were pretty linear for the most part. And you did a little bit of backtracking at most. But then once you get into the facility, it's all over. It's all over from there.
Yeah.
The most interesting way it does that backtracking is like early on outside the facility with that turret and all the boxes surrounding it. Like you have to go through the middle bit and then shoot a thing there and then go to the left and shoot a thing there to open up a path in the middle. The first time that happened, that was super interesting. It's like, oh, this is cool level design. And then by the last level, you're navigating the same room at least 4 times with different laser patterns and guys spawning off screen just to shoot you. I ended up having to take them out like outside of the draw distance just with the pistol. It's bonkers.
I remember I got to certain sections where you're on a conveyor section and you got to go all around, up, down, and all around for all of that, which was fine. But there's other bits where it does work. Where hey, here's a laser. I need to get past the laser. Here's the box that you have to shoot in order to shut down that laser. And here's a way around that sort of adds to it. That's pretty standard and works. But it's too much. The game is about 5 to 10 stages too long.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
I would have loved to end at stage 21 and then it ends at stage 31.
I was gonna say when I got to I've been playing a lot of stuff this week, right? So I haven't had like a super lot of time to put into WinBack. I only got to maybe like mission 8 or so, and I asked you guys, I was like, is this most of the gameplay? Is this all I'm doing the entire time? Because if I have a good enough impression, I can stop playing this now. I think I'm good. Yeah.
I would say the best way to experience WinBack is to play until it gets annoying. And then go play Metal Gear Solid because that is the better version of the second half of WinBack.
They are absolutely trying to emulate Metal Gear Solid in this, just not with the great characters or interesting dialogue. It is the action schlock version of Metal Gear Solid.
That's the thing. It feels like, and this is like kind of just something I really enjoy about like Dark Souls or Dragon Quest and stuff like that. It's like a Japanese version of medieval fantasy, right? But it's with action movies. That's what this felt like. It was very like kind of corny. They hit all the beats, right? Like, oh, your commander dies when you dive out of the plane. Like, whoa! Like,
the first member of your team to get taken out is the black guy. Of course, we have to have that happen.
Oh my god!
Dude, who's talking about his family is like, when we get back out of this, I'll buy you a beer or something like that, and then dead.
And then there's all the notes.
Yes, the woman who is the most concerned about everything. Oh my god.
Were they janky? The camera controls?
Yes.
For
I
this
thought it was
game,
good, actually.
for this game, I think it was, like what was really like almost the equivalent for Mario 64 and platformers. This was for like Gears of War 2 or Resident Evil or Metal Gear, right? Like
Yeah.
a very first of its kind of deal. And I think they were pretty good for a first attempt at like this kind of thing.
And you have the option to change up, the inverted or standard movement on the controls. And honestly, I clicked with it pretty quickly. The big thing you got to just figure out is that you don't have up and down control unless you're aiming.
Yeah.
Because if you push up, you're going to change your weapon. If you push down, you're going to target somebody. So
And I will say it actually translates pretty well to a Pro Controller.
it really does. I think that's why I enjoy it so much.
From a couple people before is that it almost feels like this game was made with a Pro Controller in mind. Like it's kind of weird how they made it work so well.
Incredibly so. And for the most part, the cover mechanic works really well. It's like you take your you hide behind the box, you pop out, you shoot them. Although I did find myself if it's a lower box, not doing it, actually hugging the cover, because you did this extravagant animation where you sort of like went down on one knee as far out as you possibly can and then shooting. I'm like, no, I'm going to get killed this way, because especially with the shotgun dudes, don't do that. So I just sort of ducked under and then popped out, ducked under and popped out.
Did you
I
ever
did the same
have
thing.
did you ever have John Luke do like spread legs wide? Like
Yes.
oh my
Jean-Luc
god,
Cougar has
that one
a
got
flair
me
for the
killed
dramatic.
no less than like 14 times in some missions. Like it drove me up a wall. I just wanted to crack the controller. It was so awful.
You will die a lot in this game. I died a lot.
And
I don't know how you're
and that's
supposed to beat this
The
without
real
save
problem
states.
is they starve you for checkpoints. Like there's almost none. You might get like one a chapter if you're lucky. Like
Yeah. And
there's no save system either.
well, that's the
there's
thing.
not.
I looked this up. There is, but you needed an N64 controller pack. And they aren't. That wasn't programmed into the Switch version of WinBack. So in order to save, you need to use the save states.
oh,
Yeah.
you do. And that's the thing. I started spamming those eventually because every room could kill me because they started starving me for health and ammo. Like,
I started doing it after every single shootout. Sometimes after a single shot, because there's one bit that sticks out in my mind where there's 3 guys and they all shoot on different timers. And if you peek out, you are going to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to peek out and pray I got a headshot on one of them. So I just save stated like 12 times to do that.
So I was not as liberal because I was trying to keep it as much to the original feeling of the game as possible, and stick with their checkpoint system. And I got better. You figure out the placements, you get the guns down, and it definitely got more frustrating as time goes on, especially for those longer sections. But I also came out with the idea is like, okay, there's a time limit here. In order to get the good ending, you have to reach a certain point by a certain amount of time. I saw online about 3 hours, but Vivian, you actually got the good ending despite not reaching that point in 3 hours.
Yeah,
So
somehow. Like it took me 5 hours and 7 minutes to finish the game.
Huh.
what?
But I think the point where your time is checked is earlier.
Maybe.
Oh.
And I definitely did not reach that within the time limit. So I have no idea how it works.
Weird.
Yeah, I maybe it got bugged, or maybe they made it not easier for the Switch version. I don't know on that, but everything I saw was if you think you have to reach mission 21 or 22, somewhere around there, within 3 hours, or you're going to get the bad ending on the N64 version.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I hit mission 20 at 2 hours and 59 minutes. So
yeah, and I hit
definitely did not
mission 19 at about 3 hours. So I'm like, well, I didn't make this. So I'm like, well, bad ending for me. But then I didn't have time to finish it. But I got up to like mission 22. I think it was actually mission 24 where they do that check. And yeah, I did not beat the game, but I was seeing what it was starting to throw down, and I could just see where it was going.
Yeah, I wouldn't finish it. Like, I'm glad I did it just for the pride, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
I would recommend trying it if you want to see, like, if gaming history interests you. I think this is like a first 2 levels you're gonna enjoy. First 2 levels you're gonna enjoy just fine. But then the second you walk through those giant glass doors, turn off the game, because it's just over at that point.
I will say that the storyline does have a so dumb it's good though quality to it.
A little.
True. Unfortunately, there's no voice acting in this. It's silent the entire time. You have a little bit of like voice lines from the enemies, like over here. You will hear that a lot. They call that a lot. But it's all silent for otherwise. So you don't get a lot of the personality of the bosses that you fight or your fellow teammates, other than Jake. Jake is the standout member by far, just because he's the goofball, but also absolutely the most competent member of this team. All the others kind of suck.
Yeah. Most of them just get shot in the back, and you find them dead already.
Yeah, which I thought that was to my. You have to tell me whether this is the case or not, Vivian. To me, that said that there was a traitor in the midst.
Yes.
Do you want me to spoil it?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care. And
there is a traitor. It's Dan, who you thought died in the chopper, but was actually working with the bad guy.
Oh,
because they're brothers.
Oh my God!
Let's go.
That's amazing.
Okay.
I did not expect that. I was trying to predict one of the actual members that were on the ground with us that were dismantling us. So it's like, it has to be one of us. It was like, and part of me was like, is it Jake? Is that why Jake's so competent? Is that he's actually the traitor? But apparently not.
That's actually kind of a good way of like kind of hoodwinking you, because making him so competent and like always doing stuff, right? Like, you would kind of think maybe he could be the traitor, but bringing back Dan and then making him like the brother or whatever, that's incredible. Yeah. I love that.
I kind of lost the plot on the story by then, because he says he's like from some country I can't remember the name of. I'm pretty sure it's made up.
Probably.
Like, dude, what are you talking about?
Well, it's just, the rogues gallery we have is just random guy shows up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to shoot you. Or here's some generic one-liner, and you fight. I'm like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
There is no personality to the bosses outside of the weapons that they use.
The machine gun lady was funny because she just laughed a lot. That was her main thing, I guess.
To continue the Metal Gear Solid comparison, imagine if those bosses had no build-up, just showed up, and then died.
Yeah.
Yep. Some stick out for not great reasons, because Vivian knows there's a boss that uses a flamethrower, and it will combo hit you, and that wouldn't be so. I think I could have handled it a lot better if it didn't have 2 extra guys hanging out on like lifts above the arena.
Yeah.
So you had to take care of them first, because they will pot shot you and throw you off. And then of course you get hit by the flamethrower. But so eventually I was just like, okay, take out this one, run around, take out this one, get it far enough away, bring out the machine gun, and just start unloading on the guy, and then get a little, like, shoot a little bit, run away, shoot a little bit, run away. That's all I could do.
Pray is the solution.
This sounds so complicated for what should not be.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's the Gatling gun boss, who I think is worse, because it took me far more tries, especially because there was no way to develop a strategy for that one.
Which one
I got blessed on that one, where I was in the corner of one of the rooms, and he just kept running around in circles, not shooting me. Mm-hmm. So I just kept hitting him with the pistol, and he eventually went down.
Oh, that's not fair. Oh. So
I'll take it.
To
in WinBack, I'll take it.
I believe it. So, Caitlin, to break down the Gatling gun boss, he stands in the middle of the room towards the back, and there's a ton of exploding boxes and barrels all around. So it's not great for cover. The other problem is that he is just constantly like either he does two types of attacks. Either he does a spread shot with his Gatling gun that has a whole line of bullets horizontally to take care of, or he does a concentrated fire. If you get hit by the concentrated fire, you will die because each bullet takes off a tick of health. So it just evaporates your health bar.
Great.
So my tactic had to be stand behind the first pillar, which, by the way, that first pillar that the cutscene puts you at has two exploding barrels right next to it. So I had to immediately move to the opposite wall and allow him to trigger those barrels so I wouldn't get hit, move forward a little bit, blow up barrels on another pillar so I could get a little bit closer and have a better shot at him, and then bring out my machine gun to just sort of hit him. But then if you get him down to about half or a quarter health left, he'll start charging you. He'll start coming at you and just like spraying all over the place. And if you don't kill him in time, he will take you out or sort of disrupt his pattern. I died so many times to this guy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Did you get to the missile boss?
I did not. It was two missions after the Gatling gun boss that I stopped. I had to stop at. I will say the boss where you're the guy's developing the defending the elevator, and Jean-Luc gets all sad because he messed up, and everybody has to take the long way around this time around. Yeah. I happened to have a rocket launcher with me at the time, so I cheesed that sucker. 3 rocket launchers, and he was dead.
Yeah, the rocket launcher is amazing. But the missile boss, it's not as bad as the Gatling gun boss, but he basically kills you in one hit.
Ugh.
And you have to like constantly weave in a very specific way to avoid the missiles. But one really interesting thing I noticed is the cutscene puts Jean-Luc behind one of those exploding crates, and then the boss blows it up and the boss fight starts. If you skip the cutscene, the crate is still there.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh man, there have been a couple times where it was early on when you're doing that bomb mission where you have to walk around the facilities like 3 floors and defuse the bombs.
Yeah.
And in one of those areas, there's an electric gate that eventually gets powered down and you can go through. And when you open it, opening it triggers a guy to run around the corner and aim at you with a shotgun.
Yep.
And there's nowhere to take cover. It's just a door. So you just get shot and lose a fourth of your life for no reason. Sometimes most of it, if all the bullets hit you. So
I got killed so many times just walking through doors.
Yep. And in that section specifically, I realized that they would come around. It's just if you're being efficient and heading immediately to the door, then that happens. But I hung back, saw him come around the corner, and just shot him. So it's like you want to rush, but you can't rush too fast because it'll trigger things. But it's also, it wants you to be stealthy. It rewards you for being stealthy at points, but it's so hard to be stealthy. There were some sections where I was able to knock out enemies from behind, and I realized that, this time around, it didn't actually trigger a bunch of other enemies. That's cool. But it's so hard to be stealthy. There's so few options on this. You're not mobile in this game. And I think that's the problem for the later stages. Is they kind of expect you to start being mobile because you plant your feet and start aiming. And if you're not if you don't immediately snap to where the enemy is, as far as your aiming reticle, you're taking some hits.
Yeah.
It's constant pot shots in this game.
It is.
It's hardly ever one guy just mows me down, right? Maybe a boss or something, right? But man, you open a random door, fuck you. You walk around a corner slightly, fuck you. You pop out slightly too early, fuck you. Here's just it's constant little pecks that just annoy the shit out of you. It just drives me up a wall, man. It's so bad.
This game could have been great if we stuck with the slow, methodical approach of those pot shots without constantly screwing you over and then deciding, you know what, let's put you in a room with no cover and 10 machine gun enemies. That sounds fun.
It almost, and that's the thing, people listening. So this isn't like Dark Souls where it's like a wide open area with a lot of nooks and crannies that you can explore at your leisure. It's segmented chunks of levels that you have to go through in a specific way. So like
Often multiple times.
Yes.
often multiple times. So that means when you're backtracking through these areas, anything like med kits or ammo, those are your only ones and they don't respawn. So you have to play very safe with all of your material. It's like
Oh, I did. Sorry,
it's
go ahead.
scary at times.
Yeah. I did notice an enemy take one of those med kits and run away at one point.
Did they really? I don't think if I noticed that, or maybe I killed an enemy and they had a med kit and I just didn't notice them pick it up and run away. But I did.
It only happened once, so I'm not entirely sure that's a mechanic.
I mean, that was, I think the other thing that just wears you down is that, you clear out an area, you solve something and you come back to the area and there's just more guys. And it's I think that's the big issue is that there's not a lot of variety to this game. You get 3 guns constantly. You can get the rocket launcher on occasion. You get C4, which I never used. And I had no idea of like a great use for it, to be honest. And sometimes you'll get a silencer with 6 bullets that about do nothing.
Yep.
See, and that's the thing. It's like very early on, I was like, "What's this silencer for? It does shit damage. It doesn't matter because they're gonna see their guy fucking die anyway, right?" But then I haven't seen it for 6 levels.
It does not show up. I think it shows up maybe 3 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 of which are the
3 or
first 2
4.
levels, which are linear. So there's there's no point to having a silencer.
It's one of those things where it has a great concept. The controls work well. It's just all of a sudden they decide for the later half of the game to not like accommodate those controls. All of a sudden they want you to be a Twitch shooter, and it's like, no, this is not what this game is
Decided
built
to make
for.
a different game.
Yeah, I think they
It's
wanted to
almost-
ramp up the stakes, but it just does not work.
It's almost like they tried to be the evolution of the genre while like within itself, if that makes sense. Like I felt like there were moments where like they want you to be very precise with your dodging and whatnot, right? Or your positioning, but like I don't know, sometimes John Luke decides to slip a little bit past a ledge or something like that, and it just that takes everything away from you. You don't survive that anymore.
You stick out just
He's
a
a
little
clumsy
bit and they
fella.
catch you and you're dead. or you take that hit or whatever.
They want you to be very precise with these controls.
So I guess first of all, I'll ask this Vivian. Was the ending satisfying?
Given that I had no idea what was happening, no. But I liked seeing the credits because then I did it.
Yeah, there you go. That's its own reward.
And there's an explosion.
Oh, that's always nice. Yeah, I think the overall plot of this game is that like this enemy group has taken control of a satellite that can like blast lasers at the planet. So you got to go to this facility where they control it from and take them down, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And then Dan starts talking about how he was fated to betray everyone. He couldn't go against fate.
oh my god,
That's anime as shit. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, it totally is. The other thing of note is, as we mentioned in the preconceptions part of this, there's a PlayStation 2 version of this game, and Katelyn, you actually played a very little bit of it.
It's beautiful. I watched you play.
So it is exactly what I wanted WinBack N64 to be. Just like a little jank, off kilter, terrible voice acting, right? Like, so I played a little bit of the tutorial, and the controls are still garbage. Like, aiming is R1, instead of like the traditional, like, because Halo wasn't around to revolutionize shooters and how they work, right? So L2 was not a concept for aiming at this time. So and you can't tweak it at all. It is basically just the N64 version with voice acting, really bad voice acting, and new character models.
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't think
appreciate the
even
fact
cleaned up
they
the
have
animations.
bad voice acting. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
E-
that's
every
the
time
version to
you-
play.
Yeah, every time you finish a single objective in the tutorial, what was the phrase, Vivian? It was like, "That's good,
Well
Jean-Luc.
done,
You're doing
Jean-Luc."
well," or something like that.
It sounded like an AI, but it
Yeah,
was a real person.
it sounded like an AI. Yeah, it was really bad. What year was the PS2 version? Like a year or two later, right?
I think it was like 3 years or
Yeah.
something like that. Like longer
Definitely
than you
early
think.
2000s.
WinBack. PS2. Oh my god, it was like 2 years later. Like
Okay.
not even.
Oh,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Wow.
From what the little bit I saw, does not seem like a significant improvement, but I think it adds a bit of cheese factor to the whole thing, which, you know, I think it needs. I think it helps this game a lot.
yeah.
The thing is, though, even though I would find myself getting frustrated quite a bit and all that, I still don't find myself hating this game. I was coming back to it pretty
No, me
regularly
neither.
in order to play more and get further because there's something oddly intriguing about it that makes you want to keep playing.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, if not good, but sometimes, you know, interesting bad games are better than boring good games.
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of what you see here did go on to inspire things like Metal Gear Solid 2. I've been playing Alan Wake Remastered, right? Another kind of janky third-person shooter game. But, like, you can see a lot of the elements in this, right? So it's still, like, it has a lot of cool ideas. But even if it doesn't nail all of them, you know?
Yeah. It's
Alan
novel
Wake
for
1
what it
is another
does.
game.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Wake 1 is another game that is too long for its own good.
Yeah,
That's
that
beside the
is
point.
true. It's funny we're saying it's too long, but you beat it in 5 hours, but really that's not true. That's not true.
Like, easily double that with using save states. Excuse me.
Yeah, it was just the
Yeah.
fact that you're dying constantly, you have to you don't have the checkpoints in the original version. It's
I can't even imagine like how long it actually takes to do like a first playthrough, like
Yeah, I
with
don't know.
with just using the checkpoint system.
it
because
has to
they
be,
starve you for checkpoints.
it has to be 10 to 15 hours depending on how good you are.
Oh, for sure.
I hope you bought that N64 save pack.
Yeah, you need that controller pack if you're playing this original hardware because, that's a long session otherwise. Now I didn't get the chance to check out the multiplayer at all, but I know you did. So how was the multiplayer when you're not just trying to race while rolling?
Okay, so actual multiplayer. I'm gonna be real that this isn't it. You're not unless you're just like kind of memeing with your friends. I don't think this should be part of your multiplayer lineup because the maps are incredibly condensed. They're all very maze-like and confusing a lot of the time. Yeah, GoldenEye, this ain't it. Like, it's all right, like to laugh with your friends and whatnot. You have like 4 characters to pick from. I don't think there's any major differences between any of them.
Probably not.
I did unlock a few as part of the single player.
Yes, you
You
unlock
do
more
unlock
through
things.
you unlock more through playing the game, and I think it's also the amount of points you get. That's what the points do.
Oh, okay, I see. I didn't check to unlock any. I just stuck with the 4 defaults. Me and 2 friends of mine.
That's fine.
And you know that mechanic they introduced early on in the single player that sometimes when you shoot boxes, items pop out. That's for the multiplayer and never the single player because I broke every box in the game and I hardly ever got items out of it. But
They do appear, but usually only when they're tucked in corners.
It's extremely rare.
yeah, it's very rare. Uh, but yeah, in multiplayer, you have like maybe 3 items on the map, and then the rest of the time it's pistols out, everyone.
I mean, as we said, this is a slow, methodical shooter. That doesn't scream multiplayer to me.
It's not.
Especially not with split screen.
Oof.
Oh
Yeah.
god, no. Yeah,
Yikes.
especially because all the character models look pretty bad too. You get a pretty rough idea on your hitbox when your arms are just like 2 flat cardboards intersecting with each other.
Yeah. It's charming though.
It is charming.
is.
That's true.
It is. I don't know about the multiplayer, but there's something about the single player. It's one of those like everybody has that 7 out of 10 game that most people are like, this is crap. I don't want to bother with this. But there's something about it that clicks for you, and you're like, you know what? I kind of enjoy this.
Yeah.
I would love to see a remake or remaster or whatever of this that
Oh, true.
really hones in on the slow, methodical gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
That's
awesome if we
something-
got like a RE engine type like remake of this.
Oh, nice.
But I'd like that.
Flesh out the story a bit. Give some actual character to the characters, except for Jake. He's perfect.
I was gonna say go in on the cheesy, like over the top action nature of it. I would make it like a comedy. Like that's
sure.
how you do it.
It definitely has to be as cheesy as possible. That just makes it work. Or I think the best it managed to do is it was Matt, because there's no voice acting, so Matt dies. Our black guy dies first, and you just get a Matt, but it's all silent because there's no voice acting.
Yeah.
If they do the zoom out, and that's so funny to me because cinematically that would make sense if he was saying anything, but
Yeah.
it just makes me wonder, when did this come out again? This was like 98, 99?
I think it was 99.
Sounds like it.
If this was in 99, that was like, I mean, Conquer was coming out soon. That had full voice acting on it. I think they could have gotten away with it, but
I think
Yeah,
so.
it was 99 in
And there's not a ton of cutscenes.
everywhere but Europe.
yeah, and there's not a ton of cutscenes either. I feel like they could have done some voice acting, and that really would have helped, like the charm, like that would have made me want to push through even more.
I would have loved to see Jean-Luc point his gun up in the air and go a la Point Break when Matt dies.
Yeah.
Just completely play it up every step of the way. Oh goodness, I probably won't. Now that our week is up, I don't know if I'll go back to this and finish it. Probably not, but
Maybe watch the ending on YouTube.
yeah. I will say I did look up this. We mentioned before that there was a sequel, so I looked up a little bit of the WinBack 2, Project Poseidon, and
WinBack 2, WinBacker.
yeah. The funny thing about this one is there's a completely new cast of characters. They are no longer working for SCAT. They work for CRT. So there was a rebrand somewhere in there. Good for them. And none of the characters from this game show up there. No, you don't get Jean-Luc. You get 3 new characters. And apparently the idea of it is you play through a route and a B route. You play through normally you play through with one character, sort of clear things out for him, sort of makes it easier for the next character in line, and then the actual character plays through that section themselves. So you're playing through every level twice, which seems like a not great idea. Novel, but my God, that you don't do it with every level.
But that's basically what you already do with WinBack.
Yeah.
With one character.
Yeah,
That is
And
true.
now you've just split it into multiples.
Half the game takes place in that first facility where you're just going all over the place. And there's
Yeah.
the bomb search that makes you think you have to actually go all over the facility, but no, it's incredibly guided.
They're along the critical path.
Yep, you will not miss any, and 2 of them were taken out by Jake, and this is why Jake is best.
Yep.
It's less game we had to play.
Yes. And then you get the factory and all that stuff, and that's when it starts to change. It feels like you don't run around the factory as much as the office building or wherever it starts out with. So there's that at least. Is there any? What's the final area look like, Vivian?
It's like a lab or office building.
Oh, so
and it kind of
so it is
intersects
Resident
with
Evil.
the factory a bit.
Yeah. I was gonna say that.
As soon as I got there, I was like, "Oh, this is Resident Evil."
Of course. Oh goodness. Well,
was it like lab experiments and stuff, or was it just like generic science?
Generic science. There's like maps, computers, lasers.
Yeah.
That kind of checks out for this game. A lot of reused assets. They got the most out of their assets.
Oh yeah, they did. You get the sense that this wasn't a terribly high budget game.
Yeah, I can respect that from a game development.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Position.
Mm-hmm.
But well, anything else we want to say about WinBack before we give our final verdict? I'm guessing not.
Well, no, just play Metal Gear Solid 1 instead.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 1, pretty good.
Yep.
Man, Paper Mario, 1,000 Year Door, pretty good. Available now, Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
Play that instead.
It's got another Vivian in it.
Yeah, that has another Vivian.
It is very true.
Support trans rights, let's go.
All right, well, let's make this official. Would you recommend it as an NSO or tell people to stay away with an NO? Katelyn, let's start with you.
No, bro. Sorry. Sorry. I think it's worth maybe trying if you're, you got a little hankering for some janky third-person action, but yeah, that's an no for me overall.
What about you, Vivian?
I know this wasn't one of the ones you said, but I want to say it's okay. Like, if you're interested in the evolution of shooters and like a really different style of shooters that just didn't really happen, the first few levels are definitely worth playing. But once you've had your fill, just don't play the rest of it.
Fair enough. I'm back and forth on this one, but I think ultimately I would give it an NSO. There are issues. There are major issues with this game. But as Vivian said, there is something naturally fun about it as well. And yeah, maybe stop whenever you get to a frustration point where you're sort of just done with it and you don't want to go through anymore. But with the save states, it does help. And I think you can probably get a little bit further. And at that point, you can decide really whether you want to go all out and try to finish the game or just stop at that point. But I do not regret my time playing this. This is a bit more fun, a lot more fun than I thought it would be. It does some things extremely well, especially for the N64, but obviously not an all-time great, but
it's worth at the very least getting a group of 4 together, going in the multiplayer, crouching and mashing the shoot button so you can just roll all over the map and enjoy the roller races. That's the real enjoyment of WinBack.
There you go. But what about all of you? Have you played WinBack Covert Operations before, or was this your first time? And before we go, where can everyone find you at? Vivian, plug away.
I am at VV_Twitter. I mean, at VV_ on Twitter. Sorry. You can find a lot of my writing on Gaming Trend. Just look for David Flynn. And if you want to play any games I've made, check out Gravity Queen on itch.io. I'm mostly using it to fill out my portfolio, but there's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Check it out. And what about you, Katelyn? Where can they find you?
I'm Cutie Katelyn. You can just look me up wherever, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I primarily write for Gaming Trend with Vivian. The most recent major thing I worked on was the Persona 3 review back in February.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I'm also working on a Sonic X episode tier list video for my personal YouTube channel.
Oh no.
And that's been one hell of a trip. That's a lot of episodes to watch and rank.
Yes, it is. Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure. So yeah, definitely check out both of them. Just absolute pleasure for having both of you on. So thank you both for joining me. And if all of you joining us enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments, and please consider supporting us at patreon.com/gvgaming, which includes our live audience tier that will allow you to watch Game Club live as it's being recorded. But now it's time for the Wheel of Games to choose next week's title, as I'm joined by my special guests, Some Call Me Johnny and Creepy Elliot. Are you both ready to see what game we're playing?
Spin the wheel.
I'm like, oh God, they're frozen in fear.
I was gonna say I forgot the last game that we played, but I hope it's better.
I do remember the last game both of you played
last time.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's introduce John to another new genre that he never plays. All right, let's. All right, let's bring up the wheel. Give it a spin. What the heck are we playing this week? Are we finally, after 39 episodes, gonna get a Game Boy Advance game? Hell no! We're getting Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins.
Oh.
Damn it!
Finally.
Damn it!
I can be.
Damn it! Damn it! I wanted Mario Land 1 because I know that game.
Tough luck. There you have it.
I think you'll really like this one, though. Have you ever played Land 2?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Story for another time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the beginning of the next one. So there you have it. We'll see you next time as we cover Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.